Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett is here with more on the debate. We heard some voters there evaluating candidates.
Which is your point.
Which is your point, exactly, on not being a theater critic. But let's talk about some of the issues. The economy, immigration, healthcare, key points poured over by all the candidates. Right. Are those issues that Democrats can win on in 2020?
Well, certainly health care helped them win in 2018, but what was clear last night is health care is not a settled issue. It's a priority, but Medicare for All divided some of that field, and it's probably going to divide them again tonight. Private insurance, do you want to keep it or do you want to eradicate it? Now, Elizabeth Warren gave an answer, said, yes, I'm willing to do it, and here's why. Well, if she becomes the nominee, then that's going to be the consensus for the Democratic Party. But this is not a settled issue. It's a priority. They won with it in 2018, but when you get deeper into specifics, you find divisions. Look at immigration. I think, because I spent a lot of time in the Trump world for the last 4 years. When Julian Castro has a breakout night, but says illegal border crossing should be a civil offense, not a criminal one, Trump supporters will say, are you kidding me? Yeah. What was 2016 all about? And the Trump campaign will look at that and say, if that becomes Democratic orthodoxy, bring it on.
Well, in fact, the Trump world, as you mentioned, the Trump campaign said last night was the best case possible for the re-election of President Trump.
On lots of issues. And they will also say Democrats simply do not understand the economic reality. They consistently complain the economy is not working for everyone, but the Trump re-election campaign would say it's working better than it has in a long time, and there are statistics to back it up on
Major,
that.
one conspicuous thing last night, none of the 10 candidates on the stage even mentioned the front runner in the Democratic race.
Not even a glancing reference to maybe a different kind of bipartisanship or a generational shift.
Yeah.
Joe Biden has to figure out why is that? Because they think he is foundering and they want to leave him to that? Or they think his support is broad but thin and is not that relevant. I think Joe Biden tonight has to look at that stage and say, there's an opportunity, but I've got to have some dynamism. I've got to make sure people understand I don't think this is a coronation, and I'm not going to be cautious about this front-runner status. One of the biggest things that hurts front-runners over time is looking at is if it's a coronation or you're so cautious about that lead you have. I think tonight that's going to be an interesting factor.
9 other candidates, including Joe Biden, take to the stage tonight. Do you think they have an advantage because they got to see last night? And can you explain again who got to go first and who got to go second?
So the DNC did this by lottery. You had to meet a threshold to qualify. 20 candidates did. Then they did it by lottery. What night and what position? So as not to appear to be doing anything to pre-bake who appears when or where on stage. That's point one. As for an advantage the second night, well, you've seen how the moderators go. You've seen the flow of conversation. That's an advantage. But I think the look-in audience might be a little bit lower tonight, because 4 hours is a lot of time to commit, even if you're a Democratic activist.
Although it's interesting, I mean, like my 23-year-old daughter watched the entire 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, she wanted to see all of it. You mentioned earlier that Elizabeth Warren got a lot of the questions
early on, yes.
Early on, but the New York Times added it all up and said actually Cory Booker and Beto O'Rourke spoke the most. Did that have an impact, do you think?
Well, for Cory Booker, what I was most interested in, and this is just an objective fact, every time he gave an answer, he talked about my community. Meaning, I'm from an urban part of New Jersey. I moved there early. It's part of my being, not just my politics. In a place like South Carolina, where I was last week, the Booker campaign's doing well. That reference to, I'm a person of color, I have lived in difficult neighborhoods, I've seen people killed by gun violence for a long time. That personalization put together with a policy platform can and historically has been effective.
All right, Major, we will no longer make any judgments when you're at the table.
Yeah, just make them when I leave, just like you always do. Make all the judgments about Major after I'm left the room.
But we are I love it when
I'm
you're
used
in
to
the
that.
studio. I love it when you're in the
We do appreciate it.
We love to have you here. Thank you, Major Garrett.